Welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Storm, and this time around, I wanted to talk about the Blair Witch Project, sort of in celebration of the sequel that's coming out. Um, I remember when I went to see Suicide Squad, I remember going past a poster for the movie Blair Witch, the new one that's coming out. And initially, I thought it was supposed to be a reboot, a remake reboot of the original movie, and of course, that that was just very disheartening to me since, you know, in this day and age in the movie industry, all we're seeing are basically uh, remakes, reboots, or continuous sequels of movie franchises that are already going on. Uh, and of course, the Blair Witch Project had could not be an exception to that. One of the reasons I was disappointed the most is the fact that for its time, as I'm sure many people who have seen the movie will attest to, the Blair Witch Project was very, very unique for its time. It wasn't the first found footage movie. Goddamn cat again. It wasn't the first found footage movie, but it did do something unique for the time in the way everything was presented. Something that we've seen later on in recent years, in the last 10 years give or take. Movies like Paranormal Activity or Cloverfield, for instance. Although I would say that out of all those kinds of movies, Paranormal Activity and the like, I would say the original Blair Witch Project and Cloverfield did what they did the best, in the sense that one of the reasons I like the Blair Witch Project a lot more than uh, than any other movies that have come out that use that same found footage uh, genre is the fact that with the Blair Witch Project, we really didn't see any sort of jump scares or trying to I guess hide the monster and then reveal it in a very unsettling way down the line. Rather than doing that, the Blair Witch Project opted for just opted for the Jaws route of a horror film. Uh, if you remember, if you don't know, or if you remember, the movie Jaws, the giant shark. What made that movie even scarier, and this goes for Alien too, as a matter of fact, the original Alien, and I think Predator. I never saw Predator. I can't say for sure about Predator, but for Jaws and for Alien and for the Blair Witch Project, the horror from those films came from the fact that you didn't see the monster, you didn't see the enemy uh, coming towards you at every single second. Horror movies later on would have the enemy front and center, but for Blair Witch and Jaws and Alien and I think Predator, and someone can correct me on that if I'm wrong. Um, you didn't see the enemy. Something's always happening behind the scenes, and nothing is scarier than the unknown. And the way the Blair Witch Project did that, having it being a found footage film, the way it took the mystery of the unknown and the characters on screen and just kind of not ran with it, but again did it in such a unique way that it made the entire experience even worse, or better, depending how you want to look at it, how you want to categorize that. Since it's a found footage film, basically it's even though everyone on screen is acting, um, the fact that it's found footage, the fact that how they're reacting, how they're talking to each other is supposed to be real, and the fact that they're walking around through the forest trying to figure out how to get back home, trying to figure out how to resolve the issue of the witch's curse apparently that they've unintentionally inflicted on themselves. I think far better than what we see in horror films today, where it's just jump scare after jump scare. The the bad guy, the monster, hides for a second, then comes out and frightens the audience and the characters in the film. But with the Blair Witch Project, all we see is the characters on screen slowly unraveling. The gravity of the situation just slowly uh, encompasses all of them. They're lost in the forest. They don't know how to get back. The map that they're using is not helping them. The compass that they're using is not helping them. And the entire time they're at each other's throats, just demoralized, exhausted, and at their wits' end of what's happening. In the film, uh, three documentarians. Is that a word? That's not a word, is it? Three young people making a documentary. Let's say that. Heather, Mike, and Josh. Not that the names really matter, but just to identify them. They hear legends, local legends in Maryland, about something called the Blair Witch. The witch herself has a name. Of course, I've forgotten what the name is. Not that it's really important. I don't think it's very important. But this legend apparently stems from back, I think, during the 1700s, when a woman accused of being a witch was sentenced to death. And apparently she was a witch because like 300, 200, 300 years after the fact, I guess you could say her ghost or her curse lingered from the grave and possessed a man who, under her influence, kidnapped children and took them to a very derelict house in the middle of the forest and killed them one by one. And he would do them in a very, very gruesome way, very unsettling way. He would line the children up against the wall in the basement of the house, take one of them, and then brutally murder them behind the children's back for them all to hear. Then he would take another child and repeat the process until they were all dead. And so, based on this legend, this man who went insane out of nowhere, kidnapped children, who was supposedly linked to this witch's curse, the three young people making the documentary take their cameras, they go into the forest where it supposedly happened. After speaking to people in the town, well, in the town where near the forest where what supposedly happened, they get the information. A witch's curse, supposedly, some crazy woman back in the 1700s, some guy who went insane and killed children, kidnapped them. Just crazy, crazy folklore that they take in stride, basically. They don't really believe it. I just don't think they do. And they use that for the basis of their documentary. So they go into the forest to try and find a cemetery that supposedly will house the several men who were murdered. And again, they come across these three stone, apparently Cairns, that they're pronounced Cairns, Cairns. I don't know. Monument, tributes, whatever you want to call them. 7 of them. These stones just piled up in small piles. I think there's 7, 5 or 7 of them. One of the characters, I think Mike, accidentally knocks one over, which of course, being a horror movie, is always going to unintentionally bring bad luck, or in this case, just a huge fucking curse. Heather quickly tries to repair it, but the damage is done. The witch's curse is officially unleashed. Which makes me think that if the witch's curse is... Because I'd originally thought that maybe they disturbed the witch, like, again, some sort of tribute to the witch. I don't know what it is. They're just a bunch of stones piled up in a circle that they disturbed unintentionally. You know, originally I thought that maybe the witch didn't like that. Maybe her soul is still lingering around somewhere. She didn't like the fact that they knocked over one of the stone monuments, and so now she's attacking them. But when I think on it now, maybe what really happened is that those stone monuments, Cairns, whatever they're called, maybe I'm just going off the top of my head right now. I just thought this right now. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't know. There's a lot of supplementary material out there that probably say one way or the other. But maybe those monuments were keeping the witch's soul at bay, capturing her, keeping something happen when she was killed. But no, but that's... But they never found her body, though. No, she was killed hundreds of years ago. Her body's gone. I don't know. I was thinking maybe the stone monuments are keeping her in check somehow. I don't know. The point is, after they disturbed the monuments, that very night, since they couldn't find their way back to their car out in the middle of the forest, uh, they've been walking all day. Uh, no, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. They camped for the night, and that's when things started happening. Jesus Christ, it's unnerving. This is basically what I'm talking about when I said like the Blair Witch Project is better than like other films that do the same found footage shtick and kind of run with it in what's now a very hackneyed method. That night when when they camped, they heard a bunch of very strange noises, like twigs cracking, stones being thrown and clacking against each other all night, coming from all around them. It wasn't just like in front of them. It wasn't just the side of them. They heard these very strange clacking, cracking noises all around them that night. They couldn't figure out what it was. They tried to just go to sleep and not worry about it. Next morning, they find a bunch. No, sorry, not a bunch. Three new stone monuments. Again, not monuments per se, but just small stone piles. Three of them surrounding their tent. They weren't there the night before, but they're there now. And again, this is after hearing all that strange noise the night before. So, new day, they're freaked out. They couldn't find their way to the cemetery. They were trying to look for the people who were massacred. So they decide to just head back to the car. They walk all day, make absolutely no headway, even though they have a map, they have a compass, not getting anywhere. So, evening comes, they decide, you know what, just fuck it, we're gonna have to make camp again. They make camp, and once more, very, very strange clacking noises, very strange clacking, cracking noises coming around them again. And of course, this time they're even more unnerved than before. Next morning, if I remember correctly, next morning, nothing happens. They don't find any strange things in front of them again. So again, they're for like the third day, they're just walking aimlessly, trying to find their way back out of the forest, back to the car. Just the conquest of the documentary, just right now. And really, just after the first day, after disturbing the witch's stones, whatever the hell those was before, when the witch's curse actually grabs onto them, you know, obviously this is where things going to just go down the drain for them. And like I said, it's just slowly watching the characters just unravel in a mundane situation. It's this for right now, as far as they know, nothing strange is going on. It's just they're lost, and it goes from being a mundane situation, being lost in the forest, to them wandering for about a week and getting nowhere. They keep hearing strange noises, strange things keep happening. As a matter of fact, the third night, or was it fourth night? Third or fourth night? I think it's the third night. Um, this strange noises start again. Stones being thrown. The sounds of stones being thrown and hitting each other. Twigs cracking, and now this time, children's laughter. And I have to say, watching the film again, the part with hearing the children laughing, possibly the fucking spirits of the children who were massacred by that crazy guy who got possessed by the witch decades earlier, or however long it was before. The strange noises happen again, and children are outside the tent laughing. And again, this freaks them out even more. Really, the whole thing was unnerving, honestly. Just, you're lost, strange noises are happening, and now very, very creepy child laughter is coming from all around you. And at the last second, some unknown force actually shakes the tent that they're in. The weird noises, something actually physically assaulting the tent, all of them just book it as fast as they can. The camera's still rolling after all this time, still going even after everything is happening. What still bothers me though is that as they're running, Heather, the sole girl in the movie who's has the camera, the camcorder the majority of the time, the two different cameras they have, she's holding the camcorder the majority of the time, and as they're running from this, she just continuously screams out, What is that? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?" The camera is pointing forward towards Josh or Mike, whichever one is in front of her. But it sounds like she's yelling at something from behind her. Maybe she turned around to see what it was, or maybe she's just gunning it, yelling at the top of her lungs, not sure what's going on, just going. But I've always wanted to know what was it? Something around them was doing something. Crazy child laughter. Something attacked them, but they don't know for sure. They were in the middle of the night. They're running. They stay up all night because of what happened to them. Then go back to retrieve their stuff because they from the campsite, and all the stuff has been rifled through. I think it was Mike. There was Josh. Actually, remember it was Josh. Some weird translucent slime on his stuff from Christ knows where. So after about 3 or 4 nights, they can't find their way back home. The map isn't working, so Mike throws it away and doesn't tell the other two. And when they finally find out, they just go ballistic on him because, well, yeah, the map isn't working. It's not helping them at all. But you know what? It is better than nothing, right? I mean, well, fuck, the compass wasn't working, but they still kept that, didn't they? Okay, so the compass doesn't help either, but you don't throw that away. But granted, it was Heather's. It's around her neck the entire time, so you can't just take it, can you? But still, that doesn't go away. But you throw the map away. I mean, it's better than nothing, dude. Better than nothing. It's still fucking stupid that you just get rid of it. And then, of course, the entire time, about 4 or 5 days in, Heather is still going with the camera. Which, honestly, just annoyed the fuck out of me, too. Like, you're lost. Freaky shit is happening. I mean, sure, maybe document something so you can maybe find the police or whomever. Like, if they could get out of the forest, spoiler alert, they don't get out of the forest. But if we can somehow get out of the forest, find authorities or something, show them footage, sure. But after 4 days, 4th day, 5th day running, they just like, stop it. No one cares anymore. Just stop the documentary. It's not fun anymore. It's not funny. At that point, it really would have been kind of a blow to the film, I think. But it would have been interesting if like she did stop doing the documentary and then the film switched to kind of a standard, professional camera look. No more found footage, and the whole film switches to like a standard movie. But it would have been interesting to do that. But it obviously would have been a big blow to the film, which I guess is a good thing they didn't do it. And really, I just had that annoy the fuck out of me. I think by the 5th day, Josh has had fucking enough of her. He takes the camera and kind of points it back in her face. And it's kind of mocking her over the fact that after all this time, all the weird shit that's happened to them, the lost, exhausted weird shit that's happening to them, she still wants to film. She's still... 5 days straight, she's still filming. She doesn't want to stop filming. She doesn't want to stop doing that. And yet when Josh takes the camera and points it back at her, she has an attitude about it. She's sitting there with her arms crossed, like she's annoyed by the whole fact. But dude, I get, of course you're annoyed. Of course you're bothered by this. How do you think they felt? The documentary is still going. They don't want it to keep going. You're still doing it. Then when Josh again mocks her on it with the camera pointing at her face, she has the gall to say "fuck you" to him. Fuck him to fuck you. Again, 5 days straight. You're going to potentially die out there. You still want to keep the camera going for your film. And then how very just weak ass excuses. It's all I have left. It's all I have left. I have to keep going. Like, all you have left. It really. That's your reasoning for it. I mean, dude, even if it were me in that situation, fuck it. This can only happen in the movie. This logic can only happen in the movie. Any sound person would have thrown the camera away and just said fuck all to it because it's not working. You are all going to potentially die, and you want to keep filming the documentary. And then you have an attitude when Josh turns the whole thing back on you. But I will say this: when Josh first got the camera from her, what he said kind of made sense though. He said he kind of realized why she so desperately wanted to keep the film going. Looking through the camera, it's almost as if you're one step removed from what's happening. You're behind the camera, in a way, removed from what's going on. You're filming what's going on, but you're not actually involved in it. You know? That makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, in that sense, it would explain why she wants to keep the film going because it removes her from what's going on to an extent. I get that. But after 5 days of being lost and exhausted, and who knows what the fuck else is going to happen, I think at that point the camera should just be turned off. So the sixth day arrives, and well, after having a mental breakdown from the day before, come the sixth day, Josh disappears. Jesus, I just think about it. The whole movie is just unnerving. See everyone just slowly unraveling, coming across very strange monuments. Jesus Christ. Josh disappears, so Mike and Heather desperately try to search for him. Of course, with that whole effort is fruitless. So they keep wandering aimlessly, kind of knowing they're fucked, that they're not getting out of this. That night, when they make camp again, they hear the very anguished screams of Josh out in the distance. It sounds like Josh. It probably is Josh. I think it probably was him, honestly. They hear him. They hear his anguished screams. They get out the tent to try to run towards him, try to find him. But no matter how far they run, no matter how close they think they're not getting any closer. He's still miles off, or however far away he is, his voice anyway. But they're not getting any closer to him. They just hear his screams of pain for a little while before it finally stops. Then they head back, make camp again, just freaked out of what happened. I think they actually stayed up all night until they finally fell asleep around dawn. And the reason I definitely think it was Josh, it had to be Josh, is the fact that the next morning, Heather finds a bundle of sticks made from ripped pieces of Josh's flannel shirt. And inside the bundle of sticks, inside the shirt material, she finds quite a bit of blood and Josh's teeth. So, which logically, what they heard the night before was Josh, I think, possessed by the witch, ripping his own teeth out. And possibly he was made to send the small little package in order to frighten Heather and Mike even more, just to freak them out even more. For some reason, well, even though I think she should have said something about it, I kind of understand why she didn't say anything about it. when Mike came looking for Heather, she was washing her fingers off, in a small stream. She didn't tell Mike about what she found, which, considering all things considered, Josh is went missing, though lost in the forest all this time. It kind of makes sense that she wouldn't say anything about it, just to worry him and freak him out for nothing. Quickly, this is definitely the last day. The night before I keep going further, the night before, the famous or infamous um, confession that Heather makes to the video camera. Oh my God! In the middle of the night, she's making this confession, saying how it's all her fault that she insisted that they go into the forest. She insisted they make this documentary. She insisted that they do things her way, travel south all this time, travel east all this time. Uh, just insist on continuing the film. She makes this confession that it's all her fault, and then she apologizes to her family, to Josh and Mike's family. And of course, the sounds start happening again. The clacking sounds and everything start happening again. And Jesus, just the expression on her face, just her, she's just broken, just done. And she's just crying as much as she can, as quietly as she can. As she said, too scared to close her eyes, but too scared to open her eyes. And what the fuck is going on? And in the middle of that just raw confession, the sound's happening again. The camera, it jump cuts to the next morning, right before she found the bundle of sticks. But yeah, I can imagine that had to be even scarier. Actually, being it was one thing to actually be in the tent when all that sound was happening, but it's another thing to actually be outside when it's happening. And she was just broken at that point. So this is the last day now. Uh, Heather and Mike try to find some sort of small solace in whatever they can, trying to slowly reminisce with each other, trying to calm themselves down, knowing full well that it's in vain. They've been lost for a week. And despite the fact that they think that people are going to come for them, if they can't find their way out, and they're walking in circles the entire time, they're pretty sure that it's, Heather even said in a confession, that they're going to die. It's over. So night falls in the last day. I'm trying to remember. If I remember correctly, I think they heard sound. Yeah, I think they heard Josh's voice again, calling out to them. It's still very scary. They rush towards the sound and find an old derelict house in the middle of the forest. Fuck, dude. They go into the house. Go into the house. It's old. It's abandoned. They're looking all over the place. You can see messages carved into the walls. Couldn't exactly make out what they said, but there were words carved into the walls. And if you look closely, handprints, possibly of the children who were kept there. Just like black handprints. I don't know if it was paint or something, or maybe the wall is just worn from the handprints. I don't know what it is, but again, it's just very scary old derelict abandoned house. They hear Josh's voice again. They're in the attic at this point. They hear Josh's voice again, calling out to them in pain once again. Mike, again, I mentioned this before. There are two cameras. Heather's one primarily holding the camcorder, and it was either Mike or Josh holding the other camera, the traditional film camera, I guess, at that point in time, a traditional film camera. Uh, that's to say for movie films, not whatever. So the entire time, at this point in the movie, it keeps switching back and forth between Heather's view and Mike's view, between the two cameras, and really that it's so. I think the disjointed nature of it kind of makes it uh, even more erratic, uh, even more off-putting, going back and forth between two different perspectives, going back and forth between two different viewpoints, two different. I mean, even like Mike's camera was black and white, while Heather's was in color. Uh, Even that made it just even more unnerving when Mike is running, like in this kind of this. It almost looks slow motion when he's doing it, almost in a way to make. I think I guess to make things a little more dramatic. And as he's running, he gets to the basement. He's able to slowly, very quickly see a few things before something attacks him, drops the camera, and he goes silent. Uh, then we cut back to Heather. She's screaming her lungs out, trying to keep up with Mike, and that annoyed me even more too. Honestly, just this is the end of the film. Honestly, this is the exact end of the film. She's crying and screaming her lungs out, and I can't help but just think, why did you not keep up with him? Why did you take so long to follow him? You both hear Josh's voice. You both start running. Mike goes. You kind of hang back. I get you're scared. They're both scared, obviously, but they think there's a chance to save Josh. If you're so scared, why don't you just stay with Mike? I don't know. Like I said, the whole point of this movie is the fear of the unknown and what's going on. So obviously that's why she hung back for us. She was following, she was going, but at a much slower pace. So she wasn't with Mike when he was attacked. So Heather finally makes it down to the basement. Finally makes it down to the basement. She's very slowly just creeping along, still crying, still half screaming. She points her camera to Mike. And now the also infamous wall facing scene. That one moment, Mike is facing the wall, completely still and silent. And seeing this last thing, Heather just starts breaking down and crying, trying to call out to Mike before she's attacked. She drops her camera. End of the film. Now, I've had a lot of criticism over the fact that, well, some criticism and even parody. I think we're about to even parody that moment too. The whole part of the movie when Mike is facing the wall, completely still and silent. And as I mentioned before, the guy who went insane and got possessed by the witch, when he murdered those children, he had them all lined up and face the wall. He took a child, killed them as brutally as possible so the other children could hear, and then repeated the process with another child. So, if you're paying attention to the movie, and if you can remember it, when you see Mike facing the wall like that, completely still and silent, you know what's going to happen. Mike is going to die, but Heather's going to go first. She was attacked by whom I presumably was Josh. I think that, well, it's gonna be kind of obvious at this point. I think this, yes, but if you think about it, it's kind of obvious. I think logical that the witch got to Josh, had him pull his own teeth out for some reason to fuck with Heather and Mike, and then had him lure the two of them to the house where he killed them, and then probably killed himself afterwards. As I said before, what makes the Blair Witch Project different from other found footage films that we have these days is the fact that it is the completely unknown what's happening. The fact that they don't know what's making those sounds inside the tent that night. The fact that they don't know why there were children's laughter at night. The fact that they didn't know why they're coming across these strange monuments, why they were lost, what was going on, where the house came from of all places, out of nowhere. what happened to Josh, what's going on at all. It really is a psychological thing. Some outside unknown force controlling them. They don't know why. They don't know that. They really don't know that's happening. But you can see the fact that it is called the Blair Witch Project. They are investigating the legend of a witch's curse. So, we, the audience viewing it, we know, but they don't, and that's what makes it even worse for them. Or something like that, like Paranormal Activity, where the characters in question kind of know some weird shit is going on, but they're not exactly sure what's happening. It's completely unlike that. They in the Blair Witch Project, they don't know what's going on, and that makes it even worse. They don't know what some supernatural force is influencing what's going on. And at the end of the film, when everything just culminates in what has become a legendary murder site for the townsfolk, I think it all just really wraps up really well, though. I mean, I remember hearing that while critics like the Blair Witch Project, audiences are kind of mixed on it. A lot of people like to claim that nothing really happened, or that the ending was very strange and ambiguous. Like why was Mike standing against the wall, just doing nothing and staring at the wall? And again, like I said, it's much earlier in the film, and it's only gonna make sense if you can actually remember it. Yeah, but the killer from before, who kidnapped those children, lined them up against the wall and killed them one by one. And very obviously, Josh is doing the same thing. He was possessed by the witch. He lured his friends to the house, and he killed them, and then probably killed himself. One thing I find interesting about the Blair Witch Project is the fact that it has spawned a bit of a multimedia franchise. It is a franchise. There are 3 films. I thought there was a 3rd film before the new one that came out already, but I was wrong apparently. 3 films: The Blair Witch Project, Blair Witch 2, I think it's called, Season of Blair Witch 2, Blair 2, Blair Witch 2, Season of the Witch, whatever it's called, and simply Blair Witch. Which again, I thought that was supposed to be a reboot, but apparently it actually is a sequel. It is a continuation of the film series, not a remake. And from all the reviews of the movie that I've seen, the movie just came out yesterday. It came out this week. And so far, reviews for it have been very mixed from critics. Most critics seem to like it, but other critics are saying that, it basically took what the Blair Witch Project originally was and just kind of dressed it up in a modern day horror movie interpretation. Which, like I said, nowadays we see found footage films. It's the kind of the same thing where something small happens to kind of spook the characters in the audience, and then big jump scare, which it's just kind of tired at this point. I think most fans of the original Blair Witch Project, better than Blair Witch 2, but still not better than the original Blair Witch Project. Doing decently, apparently. I will check it out. I will do a video on that too. I gotta make sure I do it in the daytime though. Jesus. When I first watched the Blair Witch Project, did it in the middle of the night, no lights, headphones on. That made things worse. And then when I watched it again so I could do this video, same thing. Middle of the night, no light in the room, headphones on. That was a bad mistake. I don't know if you can tell. Maybe you could tell. During this entire video, I've been a little nervous. I mean, just last night, after I watched the movie, it's a movie. None of it happened. It's not real. I go upstairs in the middle of the night to get soda because I can do that. The entire time I'm just thinking, and the weird snapping sounds, the children laughing, some weird witch possibly watching me. Fucks with your head. It fucked with my head. Ugh. Wasn't a good idea to do this video in the middle of the night either. I don't know if you can tell, it's nighttime right now, and while I'm doing this video. Yeah, I mean, I just again, I keep saying it, but it just has to be stressed. The fact that this movie relied on fear of the unknown, same way Jaws did, same way Alien did. You don't know what's out there. You don't know what's happening, and that makes things worse than if you actually saw the monster in front of you. Some people want to say that the Blair Witch Project was born because something happened. I say it was even better because you couldn't tell what was happening. Nothing happened. It was boring. Nothing happened. No, dude, it was happening. Stuff was happening. But I guess for the most part, eh. I mean, I guess general audiences just don't like the fact that you're trying something new, trying something different. I mean, it was new. It was different. That was the point. It wasn't like with the Halloween movies where Michael Myers he lurks, but then he comes out, and the scariest thing is, or even Jason actually. I think it's probably a better example where Jason appears. And scary, his whole visage, damn it, is the scariest thing about him. And the next scariest thing about him is how he's gonna kill you in the most grotesque, brutal way possible. You know that's how those horror movies worked. Trying to lure you in and then jump scare for a second, while the creature or enemy, whoever it is in front of you doing something horrific. But I very much so like this style better. It doesn't necessarily have to be found footage, but Christ. But not knowing what's happening is far scarier than if you didn't know what's happening. If you didn't know Leatherface was coming after you, if you knew what he looked like and could see him coming at you. If maybe like the entire film, you never saw Leatherface at all. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, if you couldn't tell. And then I guess at the very end, like in Jaws, you didn't see the shark for the entire movie to the very end of it, where he's just this giant hulking beast. We try to take a fucking bite out of the boat. That's when you see him, for like the only time. That made it even scarier. And we could somehow see the witch in the movie, or Josh being possessed, or whoever it was. I think it was Josh. I'm pretty sure it was Josh. Personally, I would have kind of liked that sort of conclusion if we could have seen exactly the last second anyway. The last second. Maybe like the camera fucking turns around and you see whoever was attacking them. That I would have liked. That sort of closure I could have been good with. But again, I'm fine with the way it turns out. We don't know what happened. It's a complete mystery. There were some books, and I think a game even, that delved further into the legend of the witch. I even went to the website, as a matter of fact, at the first time I saw the film. They did a lot for this film. They did a lot to promote the film, to increase the mystery of the witch, of the legend, of the area itself, and I applaud them completely on that. I mean, they went as far as to never even say whether or not the movie was real or not, because the way they promoted it, people thought it was a real documentary, that everything that happened somehow was real. They even went so far as even have the main characters of the movie, their actors anyway, not even to show up to the premiere of the film. That's how fucking deep they went with this. And there were a lot of people who did think it was real. So, I mean, again, trying something different goes a long way. Some people thought it was boring. I thought it was great. Just trying that small little different thing every now and then can go a long way. And something like the Blair Witch Project shows that. I don't know what Blair Witch is going to be like. Just from judging from the commercials itself, it's going to be like every other found footage from these days. Again, jump scares, left and right. that just seems like we'll see what happens. I'm gonna see it. I'll do a video on that too. Hopefully it'll be good, but I honestly doubt it's gonna be any good. So as always, thoughts, comments, whatever you want to say in the comment section. And until then, I'll talk to you guys later.